Everyone rise. Hear ye, hear ye. The Hamblen County Commission is now in session. The Honorable Chris Cutshaw presiding. Please remain standing.
Good afternoon. We will now call into order our special call meeting this Thursday, June 29th, 2023, for the purpose of our agenda tonight. And I'd like to call on Commissioner Ahern, please, to lead us in prayer.
Our devotion this evening is from Philippians chapter 4, verse 4. Rejoice in the Lord always. I say it again, rejoice. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we pray now, God, rejoicing, Lord, that we have this opportunity to come together and to serve you. We're rejoicing in the fact, God, that you serve us, Lord, as our Lord and Savior. Jesus, we thank you for what's going to be taking part this evening as we make decisions, Lord, hard decisions, but God, we rejoice in you. Thank you, Lord, for all that you do for us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Commissioner Richardson, could you please?
Place the flag, please. Attention. Pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Debbie Ahern.
Here.
Chris Cutshaw.
Here.
Hans Doty.
Here.
Edna Green. Here. Stan Harville.
Here.
Bobby Home. Tim Horner.
Here.
Joe Huntsman.
Here.
Peggy Howe. Here. Rodney Long.
Here.
Mike Reed. Mike Richardson.
Here.
Wayne Leesmith.
Here.
Kyle Walker.
Here.
Okay, we've got 12 present. We are ready to open our meeting. We've got plenty to do our business. So, commissioners, tonight, let's be reminded, special call meeting. Let's turn your mic on, please. Speak, address through the chair if you need to address. So we'll move right into item number 1, public comments. Kyle, would you please, sir? One moment, please. Let us gather our list. We'll move into our public comments section. 1A, comments regarding general or non-agenda items. We have one person on the list. That is Ms. Noy. You're recognized. You have 3 minutes.
On non-agenda, I've asked to speak about taxes, and in particular about the wheel tax. In your budget and what appeared in the paper, it's already showing wheel tax.
Hold the clock, please, just a moment. Taxes are on our agenda.
Wheel tax. That's not in your tax levy.
It's part of our appropriations, I think. Commissioners, do we allow?
Tell me where the wheel tax is in your tax levy.
It is not in our tax levy. It's part of our taxes. Wheel tax, current wheel tax is.
Are you ready? Let me talk about taxes and the wheel tax.
It's part of our agenda.
I'll just talk about the wheel tax. Is that part of your agenda?
No, ma'am, go ahead.
Thank you. This is the headline from 2002. Voters should pick poison. It's either a wheel or property tax, Commission says. Now, this started after the temporary tax was expiring and they couldn't give up that money. So, blackmail. Either this or this. That's your choice. And really what you're saying in your budget today, or part of your budget, is to the wheel tax, you're saying a wheel tax is going to be necessary. It's either a wheel tax or no roads. That's essentially what you're saying. So I ask you to look back and think about the people who elected you, the people who want roads. Everybody wants roads. You talk about kicking something down the road, no pun intended. This has been the situation with the roads for 10 or more years. But this, a wheel tax, is not the solution. I hope you'll look at other options. It's very easy to balance your budget, give the school board maintenance of effort, avoid a wheel tax, and simply rearrange the tax structure, much like Mr. Britton did at the start of this whole budget process when he moved 12 cents. So I ask that you look at this closely, consider options, and don't let your first vote, for many of you who have just assumed office back in September, don't let your first vote set it up where a wheel tax increase of $23, 85% wheel tax increase on the people in your district. It's a regressive tax of the worst kind, and we don't need it. That's the key thing. We can balance your budget without a wheel tax. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Now, our rules allow for anyone else that would like to speak to this commission has that opportunity. You will need to state your name, approach the podium and state your name and address, but you are free to do so. Is there anyone else that would like to address this commission? You have 3 minutes.
When Holden, 8150 West Point Drive. Y'all give yourselves a raise. So did the city. Why did you give yourself a raise? Because you haven't done anything for your constituents except going to raise money for a wheel tax. That don't seem fair. We vote y'all in and we give yourself a raise and won't even pave our roads. And that's all we're asking for. Goodness gracious. I bet God's looking down laughing at you all.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else that would like to address this commission on non-agenda items? Yes, sir. State your name and address, please.
My name's Eddie Cox, 1804 Boatman Green. I think the wheel tax is going to be good because there's more cars on the road than anything. And some of you all know how many's on the road and who don't have property. There's cars on the road, it's going to pay for the road because y'all done said about the wheel tax going to take care of the roads. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Is there anyone else that would like to address this commission on non-agenda items? Seeing none, we will now move to item 1A, public comments regarding agenda items only. We have one person signed up. Ms. Noy, you're recognized.
First thing I would like to do is, again, refer to the newspaper publication of the budget. And I don't know how many of you looked at it or in your budget books have realized that there was a big explanation that the schools are getting $13 million extra dollars from the state through the new funding program. Well, when I looked at the budget from 22, projected 23, and budget for 2024, I noticed that the school board is taking in more money. We knew that. But they still can't balance their budget. Their revenues are listed as $101,815,000. Their expenditures are $109,277,000. We have a serious problem. If you suddenly get $13 million and you have a nearly $8 million deficit, there's a budget problem. Then we had the situation where the school board walked in and gave you their revenue calculations. Then Mr. Britton came back and changed it to take 12 cents from their property tax and increase their sales tax to compensate. But there's still a lot of money sitting unaccounted for as far as sales tax. You all have the document that Mr. Britton passed out that they are projecting $20 million in sales tax revenue for 2023, for the period ending tomorrow. I go down West AJ and I see Huey Magoo's and a new Starbucks, Cheddar's, Panda Express, and those are just a few. That sales tax will go up. So to solve your problem, you just need to do what Mr. Britton did. Rearrange things. Take some more property tax away, put it into the highways, the highway capital project, the paving. And you don't have to, you won't affect their maintenance of effort at all. You give one and you take one. And it all works out. The last thing I would like to point out, if you go to the city or the city website, here's their handout or in their budget book about sales tax revenue. Of course, this is for the city, but remember the school board gets that same amount. Just like whatever the county collects, they get that same amount too. It's skyrocketing. And the city is projecting
Thank you for your comments.
$19 million in sales tax just for them.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else that would like to address this commission with comments regarding agenda items only? You can do so now. Seeing none, we will now move to item 2, considering resolution 2329, fixing the tax levy in Hamblen County, Tennessee for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023. And I will now entertain a motion.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. So we've got Thomas Duddy with a motion, Debbie Ahern with a second on the first resolution, 2329. All right, is there any discussion regarding, yes, ma'am?
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm going to hand out some, I had an interesting, golly, I have talked to so many people this week, but I had an interesting conversation with our trustee and the mayor, and Amanda has been kind and answered my phone calls and all of that. So, but I do have an issue with this, and I'm going to pass this out. This is the worksheet that the mayor provided for us. And it had 21, 22, and 23, so you tell me, everybody make sure we get enough. I made it. Okay. So in this, and then,
We'll need a few more, Miss Peggy.
all right, let's make sure everybody has one.
I'll pass these all down. That way they'll get.
Everybody living and present, all right? Okay. So, it shows, if you look at this, it shows, did everybody get one? Let's do that, no?
You're fine.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
only
you
one.
need one.
I'm
Oh,
only
okay.
one. I already gave him
Go
one.
to page 1. Okay, page 1. This is what the mayor gave us. And it says that the 21 audit was maintenance of effort. We met it in 21, we met it in 22, and we shall meet in 23 with money left over. And there's where it is. Turn the page over, and so I will be looking at a motion to amend this tax levy. So we have met it. If you look in the corner, it says maintenance of effort, more than met, with $3,000 some odd dollars coming back. So I'm going to follow the mayor's lead. He just moved 12 cents from general fund schools to county general fund. Okay, so look at this, projected to 20 million and in sales tax. And I agree with Ms. Noe. I think there's an I think we might meet that and maybe exceed. Then if we, remember our mayor brought up the bucket idea. I'm big on buckets. Okay, so if we increase the sales tax bucket, and you look at that line down there, 40210, they're projecting 20. What if we just changed it? It'd be 19,915,000 some odd. Reduce the property tax bucket. The net effect is 0. So the taxes get paid. We could give the highway capital fund dollars and no wheel tax. That's called win, win, win. That's very appealing to me. Now, the mayor graciously took some time this afternoon and explained that there is money coming, that extra money, when you look at 27, look at 21, when in that year, maintenance of effort, we met and there was, gee, what, 3 million extra plus going to the schools. And they use that for their broken doors, their, the glitches that happen in schools. Okay. But 13 million is huge. You know, we were discussing $81,000 for, we discussed a lot of folks getting money, but this money is there already. We're moving it with not taxing the citizens, which I am all about. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to pass this out, and you look at this, if I've got that kind of, if you're going to give one to him. Yeah. Okay. And this one needs to go out. The wheel tax, the other thing that's attractive to doing this is when does he get his money? Our road guy will get his money sooner. His money will be set aside for him sooner. We can put off the vote on the sale of wheel tax. And I understand what you're saying. For the people who drive, everybody get one?
No, we're not voting on wheel tax tonight.
No, but I just want to, if we don't affect this budget, we're in trouble. And so, what I'm saying is, let's follow the mayor's lead with his worksheet.
What, the mayor's lead gave us 12 cents.
Yes, sir.
You're saying, how are you including the mayor in this?
Okay, well, because here's the worksheet he gave us. So it shows us that there is money, extra money here. And he is proposing he is projecting 20 million coming in from sales tax. Just from my end of the road, I live on the west end, I expect we'll get there. I expect we might get more than that. So what I'm saying is, if we decrease, if we add more to our line for the budget of 24 in sales tax, and then a little less out of the current property tax, you see that at the top of my handwritten page. And here's another sheet on sales tax. All right, you probably have 50, am I in a blur, or did I sort of explain it? This way, we are not, the mayor asked another good question. He asked, okay, what are you going to do next year? Gee, I've got to get through this year. The wheel taxes, I'm asking for a deferral on that. That's what I'm really asking for. I'm asking for this trade out of switching the money to put that off. I agree, there are a lot of drivers. There's a lot of people who don't, who don't pay wheel tax. What did you read that article maybe? The city chief said that 300,000 people cross our roads. Now, if I go into the 7-Eleven and I get a Coke and a candy bar, I have become a consumer. I have become an investor. When I consume that Coke and that candy bar, then I have helped our tax base, and that makes me the investor, and I'm always happy if I have a Coke and a candy bar, so I'm a consumer. And a lot of people who don't live here do that. They come in for the job, they say, oh, I gotta run by Kohl's, I've gotta stop by the drugstore. Well, let's get a bite to eat before I go home, wherever home is. That's what I want to say. And do we, in our budget, I would like to look about moving some money in another little line, as the mayor has demonstrated, moving it to a different bucket.
Chairman, I have a question.
Hold on.
Yes, sir.
Oh, no, sir,
We have a motion on the table
Beg
to
your
accept our levy, our tax levy, and I've heard discussion, but I have not heard an amendment to an motion.
okay. Okay, I need to make an amendment to the motion to amend the tax levy.
Mr. Chairman.
No, ma'am, you're out of order.
Yes, sir.
We need,
Okay.
we have a motion to amend the tax levy, and to what level are you suggesting, Ms. Howe?
Okay. Okay, what I'm saying is transferring money, 14 cents. Did I give you the 14 cents? Yeah.
So we need this in the motion is what we're asking.
I'm making a motion that we move 14 cents from the general purpose school down and create the highway capital fund. That still gives us our tax structure. All right.
Okay,
Oh,
we
wait.
have a motion to amend. If I can get this right, please.
Yes, sir.
Let's state this. You're suggesting, or your amendment to our tax levy is that we move 14 more cents from general purpose school
Yep.
and place it in highway capital project.
Yes, sir.
Is that for this year only, or is this for continuation? What is?
Okay, that's a good one. Let's try it a year.
So we have a motion on the floor to amend our tax levy, 14 cents from general purpose school to highway capital project for 1 year. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Green is second. Now, let's have discussion on the amendment.
Excuse me if I'm just trying to sort.
Yes,
A lot of information to sort.
yes.
It sounds wonderful. But what if?
Yeah.
What if in my home I have a budget and sometimes I borrow from that budget to pay something off?
Yes.
But then I have a crisis come up and I can't get that money back in this other budget that I need that there. So my question would be for the mayor, what happens if we don't have that money in that bucket at the end of the year that we needed?
That's a good point. Mayor, would you address this, please?
So we will be deficit, am I understanding?
Okay, are you talking, all right, let's go on the assumption that the amendment passes, and just for my calculations, that would be about $2.2 million. That would move from property tax. You would need additional sales tax to replace that. So that would be somewhere around 19.8, 19.9. If, let's go on the assumption, but the maintenance of effort would be the same at 27,356,000. So what if the 27,356,000 did not come in. That's your
Correct.
question,
Yes, sir.
basically, right?
Yes, sir.
On that side, in addition to the budgetary maintenance effort, on that side, there's a maintenance effort around actual collections. I apologize. So if at the end of the year, you don't collect all of the revenue that you budgeted in your local revenue budget, the school district is required to set aside an amount equal to the shortfall out of their undesignated fund balance. And that becomes what was once known as a BEP reserve. I'm not sure what they'll call it now that the BEP's gone. And that money has to stay in that reserve and can only be used for one-time expenditures in the future in order to liquidate the reserve.
So basically, it's money be coming out of their savings, out of the county. It would be money, we wouldn't have to pony up the money. It would come out of their.
It'd come out of the
our
school
budget.
systems.
It would come out of our budget, and it would limit our flexibility with what we're trying to do.
Yes, sir.
Did I say that correctly?
You do. And in addition to the shortfall on the operations side, you have to set aside the fund balance out of your savings as well. So
Thank you.
it's a double.
Before you step away, did you get that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, am I interrupting your?
No, ma'am.
You said something, it's undesignated money, so you sort of have a sock drawer and it's undesignated until you have a glitch. I mean, is that what I'm hearing?
It is. You have, of course, much like your budget, we
Yeah.
have designated reserves for certain
Yes.
programs. And then you have your undesignated reserve, which you can budget for certain uses, which we have budgeted for capital historically in the past.
May I ask a question? Is that taking into consideration, if I remember my figure correctly, the 13 million that Gents will receive from the state now? Is it your answer, does that take all that into consideration? If I,
I'm gonna walk up, because I'm not sure I'm following.
please speak up, because my complaint from my community is they can't hear when they listen to these meetings, and I'm just passing that on to be generous. But I know, if I remember correctly what I read, and again, I'm short-minded, but you're receiving 13 million this year. So you're talking about a shortfall. Are you taking that 13 million extra that you're going to have to play with into consideration when you talk about this?
So I don't think that ties to the shortfall that you're talking about. What we talked about was the revenue stream that we had planned for if you don't meet the maintenance of that.
Okay.
Our budget is built to meet the maintenance of that. So with the money that the state gave us, we still planned with the same maintenance of effort that we have had, and based on the growing population, the county is expected to meet, and that's what our budget is based off of. Any additional dollars, sales tax dollars that come in, we then plan those, they go into our fund balance, and we then plan those to try to handle our facility needs that are over and above what we had planned.
So, quick question, where that, according to what Mayor Britton gave us, and I thank God that he gave us this, it really gave me a good understanding, where that they had given more per the audit of 21, per the audit of 22, 31 million and so forth, which is way over the 27. What do you do with that extra, out of curiosity? Do you put it in a sock drawer, as Ms. Howe says, or what?
No, we planned that for our capital projects. Our average facility age now is over 50 years. I didn't get a chance to talk to Mr. Clement today, but I think the average age is 56 years for the facilities that we have. That money gets laid in to address facility needs or other needs that we have in the district is what we're using those funds for. Keep me straight.
And how are your fund balances now? You were talking about your, I don't think you referred to it as BPE. I'm assuming you have a pretty good fund balance there at this point.
So including the amount that we budgeted for the 23-24 budget, we're a little bit over 8% for fund balance.
And I'm assuming that's good.
We have historically tried to stay around 10%.
Yes, sir.
If we do not meet those revenue projections and we take out of the fund balance, does that affect any sort of audit black mark against an audit, or so if we can't find the money, that's a negative for sure. And we're already 2% down already.
Correct. I don't believe we would experience any audit issues because we have come through that before with recession.
Okay. It's just something that we want that would be a negative.
You have looked at the reason that we like the property tax is it's more stable. Guaranteed. That means you're gonna meet it. It's more stable. If there were to be an economic disruption, then what we worry about is the people clamp down and we don't have the sales tax coming in. That is when we would be worried about those funds.
Okay. So there's no panic issue that way if we maintain it.
I wouldn't say there's a panic issue, but it's that
No panic issue.
especially if it happens more than once, you'll have to over a period of years, your fund balance will be covered.
Right.
It would go the wrong way for the fund balance.
Sure.
If it happened more than once.
So did you say it has happened more than once?
Back during the recession.
Yeah, 8, 9, okay, yeah,
We experienced, we had to set up those reserves.
okay. And you did set up the reserves and got through, okay. I guess to follow up with Mike's, have we ever had not met? Is that the time we didn't meet, that was it? Well.
Commissioner Horner, you're recognized.
I think we all hope that the tax revenue stays up, but there's not a guarantee.
No.
Commissioner
We don't have a
Richardson, do you
crystal
have more?
ball, so.
One other comment or question was, during that time period of 8 to 11 or whatever, with the reserves going this way, that meant we couldn't effectively maintain our facilities. And if we're 56 years old now, average age is 56, we sure don't want to neglect any preventive maintenance that we have.
We would definitely, depending on severity, could impact the
Because once it goes in, it's set aside for one-time expenses and.
Other discussion?
Now, if I understand correctly though, sir, we're still doing our maintenance of effort. You're still getting what we have always, well, what we've told we have to do. Let me put it that way. And you've gotten over that by the figures that Mayor Britton gave us for 21 audit, 22 audit, and even 23 audit, if I'm reading the sheet correctly. Not counting what you're getting this year, and I'm sure, being that we had recovery money, I would assume the school system got it as well, plus some others.
We did get recovery money. I don't think we've audited 23 after a year. 23, that's projected numbers for 23. It's not completed yet. And we did get federal funds, and if you'll recall the briefing that I gave you all on our budget, we tried to capitalize on those to get as many capital projects done in the final year that we've got, and the vast majority of those funds, I want to say about $9 million, are going into the new elementary school so that we did not have to come back to this commission and ask for more money. So what we actually did with the funds was utilize those. We had an HVAC program planned for Lincoln Middle. We pulled that off the table and got approval from the state to roll those dollars over into the Lincoln Elementary project so that we would not have to come back to you and ask for additional funds. So that's where a lot of our federal dollars are trying to go, is to cover the new school.
Commissioner Doty?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a point, and correct me if I'm wrong, but with this money going in for the one-time purchases, for the single expenditures, for the repairs, for the preventative maintenance on the buildings, like you're saying, the HVAC, if we cut this, then these extra dollars that are going into your fund, used to be BEP, but such, are not going in because there is no extra dollars there. And when there is an emergency after that, when these are expended, then you'll be coming to us again saying, hey, we have this dire emergency at this 56-year-old building, and we had $12 million in here, but we had to expend that because of such. So now we need you to come up with this money.
Well, I will just say that this allows us to have that ability to handle those things.
Without
the things that, as I got here, I met with every one of the, or offered to meet with every county commissioner, and then I met with many of you after you were elected because we had an election and it changed over. There was a very clear message that I got out of a lot of that. Don't come looking for more money because we don't have it to give you. So what this has allowed us to do is address needs as they come up without doing more.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask the mayor to once again give us a thank you, guys. Thank you, General. Thank you, Tracy. What are the disadvantages to moving these?
Well, the biggest thing I see right now is, and Peggy mentioned it, is what about next year? Next year, and we mentioned this, we talked about this today in a conversation, is this year, in this year's budget, the budget that is before you today, there's funding for 41 new corrections officers for the jail, for 20 of them for 6 months and 21 for 3 months, so not for a full year. Next year, fiscal year 24-25, we'll have to fund those positions for a full year. And so where will those funds come from? And and one option would be what we've done the past couple of years is, with the growing sales tax, is move property tax from the school general purpose fund to the general fund and help offset any property tax increase that may be included. So if you move 14 cents, which would basically drain any of that option, that would not be an option next year unless you wanted to move money around again. That's the biggest thing. And I mean, the property tax is a reoccurring tax. It is stable, as the director mentioned. Wheel tax is also a reoccurring tax, in that it's something that the highway department can depend on year in, year out. I think publicly, what I've heard, the public is the perception of a wheel tax going for pavings is a positive thing, and so if you increase it and it's for paving and you make a public statement about it, you have an agreement with the county road commission and the road superintendent that that's what it's going for, I think that's all a plus for the wheel tax. But primarily for me is this, by doing 14 cents would eliminate any option next year. I mean, you wouldn't have a choice. You would you'd have to raise more revenue. You wouldn't have a choice of moving any, unless you moved it out of paving to the general fund.
Mr. Mayor, question, sir.
You need to come through the chair, please.
Mr. Chairman.
As she had asked before you mentioned.
I apologize.
Is that, okay, thank you. But the only one, as I told Amanda, the only one that had red ink on it was highway.
Correct.
And the wheel tax, if I gave my grandson a cookie jar or a piggy bank, I'm going to put $5 in and say, love you. Okay. I'm looking at this as if we, okay, what if we backed off and we went 7 cents? Here's the paperwork that looks like that, only 7 cents. All right. It's a lot. That bus is going to start in August, isn't it, for hauling boys and girls up and down the highway on a road, and Mama and Daddy are going on a road that's rough and tough, and there we are. And like I said, it was the only one in red ink. We all got it. So we can go to 7 cents. I don't like the word wipeout, that we would do. And I had the privilege of working in Hamblen County schools, and my children were blessed to be educated with them. I'm all about it. But we all drive. Bill doesn't. Bill walks out of the house and goes to the barn. Most of us drive a car to go to work. And all of our surrounding counties, they come to us on a road. That is the basic thing I'm saying is, can we not provide for our highway capital fund that piggy bank with some cash in it? There it be, whether it's 14 cents or the paperwork for 7. That's what, and say to our citizens.
Ms. Howe?
Yes, sir. Go
We do have a motion on the floor discussing
Yes, sir.
14 cents, so we
Oh,
need
okay,
to stick
thank you.
to that.
Appreciate that. All right.
And is there any more discussion?
You're still in discussion, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
I've got
On
one.
the 14-cent amendment, yes, ma'am.
I got
And-
one for
and
Bill.
Actually, Mrs. Green was next. Ms. Green.
That's all right, I'll give it to
ahead.
him.
Go
No,
ahead.
you go ahead, sir.
One for Bill. You know, you said next year we'd have to maybe have a tax increase. You could always do one thing. You could cut our budget. You could go on these nonprofits and cut some. We've never went back and cut back on nothing that I remember. Cut some budgets. I have to cut my budget when I run out of money.
Any more discussion on the amendment that Commissioner Howe has proposed and seconded by Ms. Green to remove 14 cents from general purpose school? Move that to highway capital projects. Does everybody understand the amendment to our tax levy? Is there any more discussion on this amendment? Let's vote this amendment, please.
Debbie Ahern,
No.
Chris Cutshaw,
No.
Thomas Doty,
No.
Edna Green,
Yes,
Stan Harble,
No.
Tim Warner,
No.
Joe Huntsman. No. Peggy Howe.
Yes.
Rodney Long,
No.
Mike Richardson,
No.
Wayne Neesmith,
Yes.
Kyle Walker.
No.
9 nay, 3 yea.
Okay, the motion fails. Now we're back to discussion on the original motion of the tax levy that is proposed, Resolution 2329, fixing the tax levy in Hamblen County, Tennessee for the fiscal year that is presented in our budget that came from Budget Committee. Is there any more discussion on this? Commissioner Howe, you are recognized.
Thank you, sir. How about 7 cents? How about 7 cents in the piggy bank? That way we avoid the wipeout, and it'd be like me saying, anyway, there's my motion. Sorry, sir.
Okay, we have a motion now to remove, Ms. Howe, it was unclear exactly. Are you proposing 7 cents from general school budget once again?
Yes, sir, thank you. I would move, instead of 14 cents as it shows on proposed property tax structure, I would move, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion now to remove 7 cents from general school purpose.
Everybody get one.
Say that right, I'm sorry. General purpose school fund, moving 7 cents of our property tax to highway capital projects. We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Commissioner Howell, we have a second by Commissioner Green.
I think this is the 14, though.
Yeah, this is,
Yeah, I don't think this is the 7.
this is actually,
Just hold it, yeah, okay.
Okay, we have a motion to amend on the floor. Do we have any discussion of the 7 cent motion?
Mr. Chairman Cutshaw, may I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Can I make a motion to amend Ms. Howe's at this point, or I need to wait?
I think
Amend her amendment?
I think we
Yes, you can.
pass her amendment, and then you can amend her amendment. That's how we would do that.
Okay, thank you.
If her amendment passes, then you can amend her amendment.
Thank you.
Discussion, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Everybody here knows we need the roads fixed. Everybody knows that we need to put money into it some way. We've been accused of kicking it down the road and kicking it down the road and kicking it down the road. This wheel tax is not a fix-all. It's a start. It's 1.5 million thereabout estimated with the, am I right, Mr. Mayor, 400 miles of roads in Hamblen County? With 400 miles of roads at $300,000 a mile, do the math. We're over $100 million. This is not going to do it all. We have to start somewhere. And 7 cents, yes, that's close to $1 million. But that's not going to fix it before the bus goes rolling down the road.
No.
It's not going to fix it, if that's what we've got, it's not going to fix it in the next 120 years to where they're all paved. We're going to have to make some concessions. What we're trying to do this year, what I proposed when I said the $23, was get a start, something that's guaranteed that they can depend on every year, that they can make plans 4 or 5 years out, that this is money they're going to have guaranteed, and they can utilize it here, here, and here, and they can make plans as they go out. As anybody that deals with a budget knows, if you just plan for today or just plan for this year, then you're going backwards. They need to plan for decades down the road, something revolving. And that is what our school system does with this extra tax revenue that we're thinking about moving. They get it in there and they hold it as capital, and then they see that down the road they're going to have this, and they plan that money out. If that money's not there, then they're going to be coming back to us for extra money, saying, okay, we don't have this, so now we got to have money to replace these HVAC units. We got to have money to fix these windows, to fix these doors, as they've done marvelously over the last year and a half or so, improve security. I don't know if any of you go into the buildings. I go in to get my grandchildren or whatever, and the drastic changes in the security, and they didn't come to us for the money. They pulled money out of their reserves to do this. During the pandemic, our school system provided meals to children throughout this county in school not in session. They do it during the summers a lot, and they do that out of these fund balances that they have. And that's stuff that we're either not going to get, or they're going to be coming back to us for more money. I appreciate the fact that they do it out of this and they can plan it, and I personally don't want to take it away from them. I think they do a good job of managing it, and I'd like to see it left with them. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Long?
I would like to say that the 23-cent wheel tax, if you look at it.
Hold on, $23.
$23, excuse me, is $1.92 a month out of your pocket. It's a glass of tea or a Coke at a restaurant that you're not buying. We have got departments here that's running the departments right. Then we've got some here. I don't want to see this commission have to come back and bail somebody out like we just did when someone gave a 30% pay raise. We had to bail them out. So are we going to end up and have to fill the gap if something bad happens? We have a tax rate set up that I think is reasonable. I don't like to see taxes go up, but then again, I drive these roads and I understand how bad a shape they're in. But when you look at it, and a lot of my voters have talked to me about it, you know, it's $1.92 a month is what it is. So I would like to see it.
Any other discussion on this amendment for 7 cents to be removed from general purpose schools to the highway capital project? Let's vote this motion, please.
Debbie Abern,
No.
Chris Cutshaw,
No?
Thomas Doty,
No.
Edna Green,
Yes.
Sam Marble,
No.
Tim Horner,
No.
Joe Huntsman,
No.
Peggy Howe,
Yes.
Rodney Long,
No.
Mike Richardson,
No.
Wayne Neesmith,
Yes.
Kyle Walker.
No.
9 nays, 3 ayes.
This motion to amend has failed. We are now back to our original motion once again. Item 2 on your agenda, Resolution 2329, fixing the tax levy in Hamblen County, Tennessee for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023, as presented by the Budget Committee. We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any other discussion?
Chairman Cutshaw,
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Per the conversation we had with the mayor today, that it will be a little bit later and we will have the numbers in regarding the recovery money that was left. And if I remember my amounts correctly, it was 250 to 300,000.
Okay.
Could I make an amendment to this to hold this till we get those figures in so that we've got all the facts?
I would have to yield to someone else, but our budget needs to pass. We have a leeway, but our budget's under,
We can, we don't, and this is my opinion, we don't need to hold up and pass it to the budget on that line.
we can always.
We don't have a timeline of when we will know. And basically, what we're waiting on is whether the state's going to reimburse, whether the state is going to reimburse us for the purchase of new radios for our ambulance service.
Okay.
And there's been some discussion, I don't know how far it's gone, about the state purchasing new TACAN radios for all the ambulance services in Tennessee. We've already done that for our EMS using our ARP money, and we could possibly get that reimbursed, but there's no guarantee.
Mayor, at that point, when that money did come, we could make it a budget amendment and add it to.
Yes.
So therefore, our budget could continue as.
About 2.5 million, Bill.
No, it's about 250,000.
250,000.
That'd be less than a mile of road.
So
Mr. Mayor.
we could amend.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
May I ask the mayor a question? What is the deadline for our budget, sir?
Our new fiscal year starts Saturday.
But when-
Our history has been that we pass it by July the 1st.
My
There have
dir-
been years where we haven't, but vast majority we've done.
Is it due by July 1st, though? Let me be point blank, just like a tax return. Is it due? Well, you're due April 15th for a tax return. Are we due by July 1st?
Is there a statutory requirement? No.
Yes, sir.
There is for later in the year.
How much later could we do without being in the middle with anything?
It would be at the end of August.
Okay. That
Would you
gives-
like to make a motion, ma'am, to hold the budget? Is that
Yes,
what
sir.
you're proposing?
Yes, sir.
Well, make your motion, please.
I make the motion to the effect that we hold the budget till we get the rest of the figures in, so that we know exactly, for the sake of transparency, what we are dealing with.
So we have a motion on the floor to withhold vote on this budget until, please state again.
Till we get all the figures in to know exactly what we are dealing with.
Define your number of
August, not
figures,
December.
because that could be very, very.
I'm sorry. The totals from the recovery as well as other things, yes, sir.
That is our motion. Do we have a second on this amendment?
I'll second it.
or this motion. So we have a motion by Ms. Green to withhold the budget vote until the monies, once again, did y'all get that? I didn't get it all. From the recovery money, is that
Yes.
what you're specifically?
That's what I was asking about.
Okay, and then Commissioner Howell has seconded that motion. Is there any discussion on this motion? Yes, sir, Mr. Neesmith.
Address this to Bill. We've got several items we don't know how they're gonna come out on. We've got this, SRO officers. We don't know what we're gonna get on that for sure, do we?
We have a pretty good idea. Our plan right now is to present a budget amendment next month.
Then we've got, if we go by what the governor says, he's gonna give us some money to fix our infrastructure with, so we could possibly get some money from him. We might get money from the state.
There's some money for state aid roads, which is 20% of our roads, and the highway superintendent has to submit a plan, and so it'll be a few months, and our plan is to amend the budget, come to you guys with a budget amendment when the state gives us more direction and we know exactly what we're.
Are we doing anything on that now? Are we planning ahead, or?
Barry's working on his 3-year plan that he's got to submit. He's got to submit a 3-year plan to the state.
We know what the state's looking for?
As far as what's in the plan or the amount of money?
We know what their plan is, so if we get it, so we're not going the other way.
Yeah, Barry's working with TDOT on that, with Department of Transportation.
Is there anything else out there that we don't know for sure how we're gonna come out? Is there any more?
Those are the only things, and then you have everything in the budget. The budget's a blueprint, and everything in the budget, not everything, but a lot of it is estimates. And and so just like property tax collections and wheel tax collections and sales tax collections, that's all estimates based on years of history and what's going on in the economy now.
Estimate, that's a good word.
That's what they are.
That's what it is.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Neesmith, are you completed?
Yeah, we through, Bill. We're through, Chris. Go
Thank you,
ahead.
sir. Commissioner Ahern.
Mr. Mayor, did I understand when Ms. Green asked you about the leftover monies, if you will, $300,000 maybe, so did you say that's what, 1 mile? Is that correct? Thank you.
A little less.
Anyone else? And I'll come back to, I've got to go around and let everybody have their shot. Yes, sir.
I just want to make a statement that what we're talking about is kind of pennies on the dollar. And if you remember from our commission training that we had, that we have a certain window of opportunity to pass this budget, or the state will come in and effectively take care of it for us. Now, I don't remember the timeline involved in that, but it's our responsibility as the legislative body, to pass budget. And the $250,000 plus or minus is less than a mile of road. And I think I don't think we're being very good stewards of the rest of the money by not acting on this today with the deadline that we have.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Green.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, have you got any expectations? I know you talked to us about growth and so forth, and I am glad you have the vision you have. I really like that you see a lot of growth. Do you know of any other money that's coming in that we do not know about at this point?
No, I mean, the money, the only things pending that I'm aware of is the SRO money, and we've applied for it. The Sheriff's Department has applied for it, and so we're working on putting that whole program together and then bringing it to you guys in July. The state aid program that was included in the governor's transportation plan, we're working on that under the instructions of TDOT. We anticipate, and part of our economic development plan is more jobs, more growth, but there's no way to really measure that. I mean, I can't sit here and say we're going to have 2% growth. I can tell you that historically, our assessments have gone up 1% a year. This year has been 4%. Sales tax varies. Wheel tax is pretty much it doesn't grow very much. Over the 20 years we've had it, it hadn't grown a whole lot. I can give you those observations, but I can't stand here and say our tax base is going to be so much next year.
I'm assuming you expect with all the new houses that the tax base is not going to increase then?
Well, there's a cost also that goes with the growing tax base. We're expanding our landfill. All right, you've got the road repairs you got to make. You've got schools you got to operate. There's other infrastructure. So there's costs that go with growth. So and we get the biggest bang for our buck as far as the government goes with a business and industry growth rather than residential. Residential creates more cost than it does revenue.
Growth is good if you just look for growth, but when you throw all your expenses in behind it, that gets you your growth. Just because you create some jobs, that doesn't throw much in on your taxes.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor now, and we have a second.
I'm finished, Chris.
Excuse me, sir?
I'm finished with Bill
Yeah,
now.
We're calling for vote over here. That's why we're moving ahead.
Well, you need to wait till I get through.
It didn't have to do with what we were discussing. So we have a call to vote on the motion by Commissioner Green to withhold this budget until all numbers are in according to the rescue plan money, if I got that stated right. We have a second by Commissioner Howell. Let's do this vote, please.
Debbie Ahern,
No.
Chris Cutshaw,
No.
Thomas Doty,
No.
Edna Green,
Yes.
Stan Marble,
No.
Tim Horner,
No.
Joe Huntsman,
No.
Peggy Howe,
Yes.
Rodney Long,
No.
Mike Reed, Mike Richardson,
No.
Wayne Neesmith,
No.
and Kyle Walker.
No.
The vote was what? 10-2. This motion fails. So let's revert back now to our original motion. Resolution 2329, fixing the tax levy in Hamblen County, Tennessee for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023. We have a motion by Thomas Doty. We had a second by Commissioner Ahern. Is there any other discussion on this motion? It's presented by our Budget Committee. Seeing none, let's vote this motion, please.
Debbie Ahern,
Yes.
Chris Cutshaw,
Yes.
Thomas Doty,
Yes.
Edna Green,
No.
Stan Marble,
Yes.
Tim Horner,
Yes.
Joe Huntsman,
Yes.
Peggy Howe,
Yes.
Rodney Long,
Yes.
Mike Richardson,
Yes.
Wayne Neesmith,
Yes.
Kyle Walker.
Yes.
And this resolution passes. 12-1.
Yes.
12-1. You're right, 11-1, that's correct. 11-1. Thank you, Thomas.
Oh, my gosh.
Now we move to item 2B, Resolution 2330, making appropriations for the various funds, departments, institutions, offices, and agencies of Hamblen County, Tennessee for the year beginning July 1st, 2023, and ending June 30th, 2024. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion.
We
Second.
have a motion by Commissioner Long.
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Richardson. Now, the floor is open for discussion. Do we have any discussion on this resolution? Seeing none, let's vote this motion, please.
Debbie Ahern,
Yes.
Chris Cutchall,
Aye.
Tom Stody,
Yes.
Edna Green,
Yes.
Sam Harville,
Yes.
Tim Horner,
Yes.
Joe Huntsman,
Yes.
Peggy Howe,
Yes.
Rodney Long,
Yes.
Mike Richardson,
Yes.
Wayne Neesmith,
Yes.
Kyle Walker.
Yes.
Vote was unanimous on Resolution 2330. Moving on, item 2C, Resolution 2331, making appropriations to nonprofit, charitable, and civic organizations of Hamblen County, Tennessee for the year beginning July 1st, 2023, and ending June 30th, 2024. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Commissioner Horner?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Doty. The floor is now open for discussion. Yes, ma'am.
I just have always marveled and appreciate living in this community that has so much generosity and charity for other needs and folks who may not have all the blessings that some of us have. So just, that's my comment. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Howe. Is there anyone else that would like to comment on this motion? Seeing none, let's vote this motion, please.
Debbie Ahern,
Yes.
Chris Cutchall,
Aye.
Tom Stody,
Yes.
Edna Green,
Yes.
Sam Harville,
Yes.
Tim Horner,
Yes.
Joe Huntsman,
Yes.
Peggy Howe,
Yes.
Rodney Long,
Yes.
Mike Richardson,
Yes.
Wayne Neesmith,
No.
and Kyle Walker.
Yes.
11.
This motion passes 11-1. Folks, that concludes our business on our agenda tonight. I have one comment for everyone. I wanted to thank Commissioner Howe. I thought it was very lucid and very thoughtful effort in what you presented, Commissioner Howe, in doing this. It just did not sit with the majority, I guess.
Yes,
But
sir.
it was a very, very thoughtful effort.
Yes, sir. May I make a comment
Yes,
as well?
ma'am.
About the tar and feathering, I'll take the feathers. I need the tar to go into the sink, the potholes. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We are adjourned.
That's all I was done.
Doggone lady.